everybody. Welcome to another Lean in Olympia. I'm Meg Martin, Executive Director for Interfaith Works. And Lean in Olympia is our bi-weekly show where we talk about all things in the community, bring on guests who are super awesome and inspiring, and get to know more about all the amazing things happening here in Olympia. Today, I'm super excited. I'm joined by Olivia Hickerson, who is the Executive Director of SideWalk. And SideWalk is close to the Interfaith Works heart and family because SideWalk started under the umbrella of Interfaith Works many, many, many years ago and has just gone through a huge amount of transformation and change. And so I wanted to bring on Olivia today to learn more about what's happening there, learn more about her, new to our community. And I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, Olivia, do you want to give kind of the who is she? The introduction to who you are, and work stuff is cool, where you came from before this, but just a little bit more about you.
Yeah, well, let's see. People always ask this question. I'm like, you should always have like a 90-second thing, but I don't know. I'm from Oklahoma,
cool.
kind of born and raised there, went to college there before I moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just always wanted to serve people. My high school self wanted to be in the Peace Corps and do that until I got tired of it. And so I think I've always been drawn to places where I can help and really make a difference. And so I don't know, I just kind of dedicated my life to that in every aspect, really. And wherever I move, my husband's in the military, so we've moved a couple of times. I just try to get involved wherever I'm at.
Did you serve in the Peace Corps then?
I did not.
Okay,
but
cool.
It was always
that was always the idea. And then you lived in Bellingham before
Skagit, so Mount Vernon,
Oh,
Skagit
okay.
County.
Cool. And you were involved in homelessness services there.
Yeah, so I started with Skagit Friendship House, and I started as their winter shelter manager. So it was just temporary from end of November to March. So I would just run that. I did that for 2 seasons, and then we opened up the Skagit First Step Center. So my role in that was the program, basically the implementation into the community and building those relationships with law enforcement, other agencies to kind of get that off the ground. We had, I think there's 48 cabins built by Pallet Shelter. And so that was a partnership with them, kind of their, not their first, but kind of like a test site for them. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that started. And then from there, I managed that for a year. It's only been open for a year and a half now. So from there, I went to the interim executive director after my mentor left.
Oh, okay. Of the Friendship.
Yeah, of the Friendship House.
The Friendship House is the organization, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that the pallet shelter thing. So is that like 24/7 shelter for people, or was that okay? Cool.
Yeah. So the funding that went into the winter shelter just rolled over into the year-round 24/7 shelter.
Okay. Awesome. We used to host the winter shelter, and I'm sure you've heard some of this, but it would rotate from church to church, and then it was Jill Esbeck, who was with SideWalk earlier, would help to kind of coordinate it, and placements would happen through SideWalk for that. But it was like so much work. The popping up the winter shelters is like really, it's like an amazing training ground, I feel like, for this work, but dang, it's a lot. Yeah,
and I kind of like to say, like, I haven't been in homeless services very long, but every year it's new. Like I have a new like barrier to overcome. So I started out, the winter shelter manager, it was with a church. So they had some mistrust in the community from the previous year. So it was rebuilding that. And then, the next year was COVID. So then we had to move into a hotel. So then it was like, okay, how is this going to work in a hotel?
Yeah.
And then after that, it was the Skagit First Step Center. And so it's like every year of my career is like this massive change. And so it's good, but I'm like, am I attracting something? Like what's going on? And then, SideWalk. And so now it's same thing, kind of just trying to see where we can go.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about that. So what is up with Side? I'm like, who is she? But like, what's up? Yeah, what's happening there right now? What kind of services? Can you give us the little elevator speech of that?
Yeah, so right now we have 3 programs, our diversion assistance. So we can do housing, deposit, rent, or we can do our ride home, which we can pay for transportation. Then we have our FCS program with our certified peer counselors, and then we have community court.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So the FCS program, just for folks who might not be familiar, that's essentially an expansion of Medicaid funding with the sort of theory that housing and access to housing is a healthcare benefit. And so Medicaid can reimburse the work that it takes to help someone find housing and then maintain their housing. Is that's
Yes.
correct? How long, I always forget, how long are you able to work with somebody once they've been housed to keep supporting them?
If I remember correctly, we do have to reauthorize every 6 months.
Okay.
But as long as they qualify, I don't think that there's ever like we have to stop your services.
Yeah.
So as long as they are qualified through Medicaid, forever, I guess, would be.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we work with your folks in FCS, and some of them have been part of Interfaith Works and stuff, so we're all like little family.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the community court program a little bit more?
Yeah, there's not much to say right now, but that is, I have an associate's in criminal justice and corrections, and so one of my first passions was reentry, and the fact that people serve their time and then come out into the world and we punish them more. And so that I'm trying to figure out where we can connect with community court to be, I guess, I don't know, I don't want to necessarily say better, but how we can just help more with that. Like what is missing with community court that SideWalk can step into. And we have a volunteer that works every week with community court.
And that is the program through City of Olympia, or is that okay?
Yeah.
And the idea basically is that people could get connected to services.
Right. So you're, trespassing, theft, petty theft, stuff like that. Things people do to survive out here when they don't have housing. Then we kind of match them up with our volunteer, Nancy, and she takes on that navigator role and just helps them kind of navigate the system and get them connected to where they need to go.
Cool. And then the diversion program, is that similar to kind of the historical SideWalk, like rapid rehousing program?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
When I did take this job, that was the rapid rehousing was kind of what was presented. But then I kind of started noticing we're not really doing rapid rehousing. I think that's how, SideWalk did start that. But at this moment, we can't provide ongoing funding. So multiple, up to 6 months, it's just that one deposit or first month's rent. So the stipulation is kind of that you have to work towards, being able to sustain that rent payment. So that's kind of the downfall of that. But yeah, they started out doing that, but we don't technically do rapid rehousing.
Okay, I see. So that's a good distinction to make, but it is such an important thing that people need. I mean, even for folks who are like moving into Unity Commons, they have to, be able to pay a deposit and do that. And so if folks are on zero income, or even if they're getting a subsidy from Section 8, like still having that first last deposit support is so important.
Yes, and I really want to expand that program, all of them, but just really that one, because I do feel like there is a need. When I got here, it started out with like $200 or $400. This year, we have increased it to $400 to $600 because rent, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
$200 is not going to get you very far. So we have increased it as our budget allows, but we're definitely looking into more funding this year to sustain that, because right now, other than like Give Local, all of our diversion is donations.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you looking to get back into the county grant cycle for that?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. Yeah, I feel like that really, SideWalk was really filling that role for single adults in the biggest way. And so I'm super happy to hear that. That's awesome. So, what are some of the things that you like? How's it been so far making this transition? Like, what are some of the roses and thorns, I guess, if you would?
I feel like I'm pretty optimistic. When I took this role, I'm very big on energy and things aligning, and everything aligned for me to take this role. And so I believe that this is where I am supposed to be and where I can make a difference, and where SideWalk can make a difference. And so it's just, finding out where we can serve. And right now, I don't have very many thorns. A general thorn would be just kind of navigating the system here. I'm not familiar with the county and the structure and all of the systems, and how, different organizations have different data entry points, and I'm just not used to that. So just kind of getting used to that. But everybody's been supportive. My operations director, Alana, she's been crucial, in me feeling comfortable and just kind of acclimating. She's been patient with me. All of my questions of, okay, well, that's cool, but why do we do that? Why do we do that? Because I'm like all about the, okay, well, why? So, everything's been pretty good. They're not without the challenges of just navigating personalities and long-standing structures. I mean, SideWalk has been around for a decade under the same leadership, and so taking over from a founder is different than taking over my position from my mentor, at my previous job. So it's just different.
Well, and Phil was such like a larger than life kind of personality in this town too, and so I really commend you for stepping into that role. And I just have seen you, we haven't had a ton of time to really connect and get to know each other better, but just like it seems like you have just stepped in with like in such a, how to say it? I'm like in such a way that was like so just like kind and open. And even just when you were telling me before we started this about like, I wanted to take time to just really learn why everything was the way that it was before I wanted to make any changes. And it just seems like you have such a like level head and you really get it. And you're like just stepping into a really tough situation in a really good way. And
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try, I'm very passionate. Sorry. I'm like,
good.
I'm very passionate about, this work, and it's not, I don't step into this with a mindset of like me. It's my first thing is what's missing and how can we as an organization fill that gap. I don't, expect SideWalk to come in and we're taking over everything and, that's not it. I want those partnerships because I truly believe we can't end homelessness or make a dent in it if we're not partnering with each other, because it's going to take all of us. Like, we can't do it alone, and there's different pieces, and we serve such a diverse population. It's going to take everyone with their specific expertise, to accomplish that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's like one of the things that's really cool, I feel like, about the provider environment in Thurston County, but also I will say that the pandemic made it really hard, I think, I think everybody retreated more into their like own zones.
Hmm.
And I see that more as just like the tunnel vision that came along with having to respond to COVID. But it just, hope that the foundation that we had before that is strong enough to like bring it back a little bit, because I'm like, that is something that I really feel like makes Thurston County so special, is how much we all do try to understand what each role everybody's playing and
Hmm.
like maximize that for the greatest community effort. And that's, our hope is that having a day center again, like up at Sergio's when we're opening that if there's kind of a home base that we can all connect with folks at, that'll make it easier, because I feel like that's been one of the great losses of the pandemic, is having that space at the community care center. So yeah, I don't know. I totally agree. And I hope that there's more opportunities for us to be able to expand our partnership.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something that with the Skagit First Step Center that was kind of getting up and running, was having that home base for service providers to come in and just meet with people. And so, yeah, that's something that I noticed that I was like, okay, that's kind of missing. And then I started hearing about the community care center and, the issues with that, which were understandable, but it's still needed. So I think it's more of how do we mitigate the issues that happened with that and move forward, not just get rid of it, because it is crucial to have services in one location for people who don't have access to it
Yeah,
or can't get there. But
for
you do
sure.
have a free transit system. That's something I wasn't familiar with either. We had to pay for transit, so that was kind of a barrier. So that's a little bit different here, though.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at some old community care center stuff, and there was so much stuff about helping people get bus tickets. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad we don't have to do that
Hmm.
anymore. Like, it makes it so much easier that you're just like, okay, now we can focus on IDs and other like
Right.
important documentation and not have to worry about like how's someone going to get a bus pass
Hmm.
anymore. Um, okay, I feel like I have like 1,000 questions that are all circling around, but I wonder, like, do you have like a story or two that stands out from the last, because you've been here how many months now?
What is it?
8?
March? Yeah.
Something like that? Okay.
8, 9, something like that.
So from the last 8 or 9 months, is there like a story or two that maybe stand out of like a win, whether it was with rehousing someone or a win, with the volunteers, or like, I don't know, like, is there something that comes to mind that made you be like, because you said you were drawn to this position because of the energy that kind of all aligned. So has there been a moment since then that comes to mind where you're like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. This does feel.
Yes. Um, so with the volunteers as a whole, they have been very supportive with the transition and kind of getting me caught up to speed. So I guess there is just kind of like that feeling of I'm welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
But for a specific instance, I mean, in January, we housed 23 people.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah. And so with the increase in funding, like we're able to help more people because, we can actually give up to 600 or even more. We've helped a couple of families, although, we don't focus on families. We don't turn them away either. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel in every aspect, I know this is right.
Yeah.
It's the energy from the people. I just recently joined Olympia Rotary,
Mm-hmm.
and people have just been welcoming. Like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like this welcome feeling that I'm not used to, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's very it gets me excited to be here.
Yeah. And is that like Olympia as a whole, or like your experience moving to Olympia as a whole has felt that way?
Yes,
Oh, cool.
as a whole. Yeah, and I think people don't maybe realize the power of when you're walking down the street and you're like looking for a place to eat and you see a Black Lives Matter sign in a window. Like, you instantly can walk in and be like, oh, I don't have to second guess something. I don't have to like think, oh, am I going to get treated poorly? Like, so I don't know. That has been a change that I have really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have kids?
Yes, I have one son.
Okay, cool. So are you in the school district stuff yet?
He goes to kinder care.
Okay.
So still in daycare.
Cool. That's awesome. I love hearing that because I think that going back to what you were saying before that, like I think Olympia is so funny because you like it's big enough that there are like real life big city kind of challenges that we are up against as a community, and it's like so small that I think that when you're here for a really long time, it's hard to like really see it objectively in the same way or something like that. So I think it's really cool to hear you say that your experience has been good moving here. I know that for some folks it's felt hard, and I think about myself, I'm about to be 40 this year, and thinking about moving to a new place just seems like really tough, I guess, in a way. And so I'm like, okay, I feel a little proud of the town that you've had a soft landing. And I'm wondering, like, where have you explored outside of just like work that you've been doing here?
Yeah, I've done some hiking. A lot of, children's museum, gymnastics with my son, stuff like that. I'm not really an outdoorsy person. So why did I move here? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the hiking has been fun. I'm kind of a homebody.
Yeah.
And, being here, I don't have that very many like friends. And so I think once, I'm here longer and can kind of build a community, I think, that'll expand. But yeah, it's just kind of staying at home or just walking around the neighborhood. My husband was deployed up until this February. So
Okay.
I was here. I made the move and stuff all by myself.
Oh, wow.
And
oh, my gosh.
so yeah, it's just kind of spending time with him now as a family and kind of exploring the area together.
That's awesome. Is he going to be here for a while? Do you
Yeah,
know?
so he's actually getting out of the military and we're staying here for me.
Yay. That's so great. So what do you see? What are some like hopes or dreams that you have for SideWalk in the future? Like, where do you see it going?
Yes, tiny homes.
Okay, cool.
I'm a big fan of tiny homes. I don't know how we're going to get there just yet. There's organizations that know development. I'm not, into development much. So we would definitely need some partnerships there. Right now, I'm kind of just thinking of the land because I think that's the biggest barrier to nonprofits and anybody building affordable housing is where. And so if SideWalk can fill the void of acquiring land, then I believe the partnerships will just come and hopefully we can get some affordable housing built.
Do you see it as like tiny home in an affordable, like permanent structure, affordable tiny home living, not necessarily like emergency housing?
Right. So my dream would be a kitchenette and a bathroom.
In each unit?
In each unit. Mm-hmm. And
Cool.
make it completely permanent, affordable, and based on, their income and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you like, is that like a 3 to 5 year kind of dream, or do you see it is that something that you all are actively sort of pursuing?
I'd probably say 3 to 5 years would be a good estimate. I think right now, as much as I'd want to jump into that for sustainability as an organization, we have a lot of priorities before that, with just, the reserves and just our staffing in general. But yeah, I'm always looking for ways to acquire land, the grants, getting back into that. And then just hopefully somebody who knows how to build them can just be like, hey,
Yeah.
can we use your land?
Do you know about the block project in
No.
Seattle?
I don't think so.
Okay. Not to like go on a riff right now with this, but the block project is awesome. It's the do you remember the whole like facing homelessness thing that was like it was this big kind of photo campaign that it was this guy who used to be an architect. Maybe he still is, I don't know. But anyways, he started, whenever he'd go to work at the architect studio, he'd always like see the same people on his block, and then started to get to know them, started taking their photos, telling their stories, raising money for them, for like one-off things that they were needing. His name is Rex Holby, and he's really an amazing guy. And so anyways, grew this facing homelessness community, these just beautiful portraits of people and telling their stories and helping them fundraise for things that like most of the homeless service system doesn't really support, like different like art supplies for somebody who is a street artist, or time to record in a music studio, or like some of those sort of things. But that grew into this block project. Like his whole thing is like building relationships with people is what's going to ultimately end homelessness in our communities, which I really resonate with, and I get the sense that you probably do too. But the block project is that they find people that have bigger backyards, and then they put one tiny home in the backyard, build it with the people who live there, whatever. And then their organization has like an application process. The people who own the property have an application process, and then they match people with like a good match. And I'm like, that would be such a cool, that's like so the SideWalk vibe, I feel like.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
the
I'm
volunteerism
open.
and
Yeah.
everything, you know what I mean? I'm like, ooh.
It's going to take a variety. Like, there's not going to be one solution. You're going to need a variety of different types of housing to accommodate people. And yeah, like I've looked into that as well, like the ADUs and things like that. Yeah, I would definitely I'm interested in anything. Like that's the thing about me is it may be ugly, like if you present it or we have to iron out some things, but I'm open to anything. I will, until it presents that, oh, we can't work it out or it can't come to fruition, I will try.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. If you could like get the community, if you could have the community understand like a core thing about SideWalk, what would you want? What would you want the community to know?
Good question. I think I'd want the community to know that we have, I'm sure the community knows this, we have kind of not been involved in a lot in the past couple of years. And so just knowing that, we're trying to get back into the community. We're trying to, like our navigators, they really want to be stationed at different organizations, different places to help and meet those needs. And so we're just trying to fill in the gap. If you have a gap, call me. And I'll see what I can do.
I love that. That's awesome. Is there anything that you would want the community to know just about you, Olivia, as a person new here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm shy. This is the first time that I've like taken a step like in my career, like by myself and for myself. And I'm just trying to navigate it. I just think, I don't know it all. I don't expect to know it all. I may be an executive director, but I don't say I'm the expert. And, I really just want to be a team player, and I want to be involved in the conversations.
That's awesome. I was just like smiling when you said that, because I'm like, literally the second that I ever think I know it all, something happens and I'm like, oh my God, I thought I saw it all, yet here I am.
Yes.
Being humbled again. Yeah. Well, how can people get involved to support?
Yes. So our website, walkthurston.org, we have volunteer opportunities. I have expanded our internships. So we had 0 when I started, and right now we have, I think, 5 people starting,
wow,
and we
cool.
have a couple lined up for spring and fall this year.
Is that for like MSW students or
Both.
social work? Okay, cool.
And we have an MSW supervisor, like a field supervisor for that. So yeah, internships, donating.
Yes.
We could always use it. So yeah, just look at our website. Porcupine Media is in the process of building us a new one, but
Shout out.
ours right now is okay. It has the information you need. So check it out.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Is there anything that we didn't cover or questions that you have for me at all?
I mean, I probably have a lot of questions for you, but I don't know if we have time today.
Yeah, it seems like we need to go out
Yeah.
for a hang out on the town.
Yeah.
Olivia, thank you so much. It's awesome to get to know you a little bit more. And
thank you. Thanks for having me.
The rest of the day.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, check out SideWalk, walkthurston.org, correct? Yes. Okay, and I just think this is a really cool opportunity that if you've ever been involved with SideWalk in the past or have wondered more about what they do, maybe haven't heard about them in a couple of years, reach out and welcome Olivia to our community. And I just feel like this is really inspiring me today to want to kind of get out of our shells and really make an intention to like build community ties together, because I just can't agree more with what you said, that it's really going to take all of us doing all of our individual parts if we want to see our community have less people suffering on the streets, less people living in wooded areas and encampments, less people who are living on the edge, like paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and more people thriving. And that's what it's about.
Living, not surviving.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. Okay, let's do it, everyone. Check. Have a good day. We'll see you later. Check out our show. This will be also posted on Spotify and our YouTube. So if podcasts are more your thing, we got you there too. And I hope everybody has an awesome day. Bye.